And then it's $15 or $6 in there. Right, don't try and throw those big ones to one another. I can't get it. Yeah, that one I shouldn't have thought. Yeah. Make that, because they both...
The Force are fighting back. The Sting now with just a 4-goal lead over the home side. Half-time and no team changes for either side. I can tell you, Liana de Bruin was forced to have some Ventolin just before the break. Tanya Dalton, can you tell me, does she suffer with asthma?
Well, she suffers from asthma, and I think I'd suffer from asthma if I was out there as well, so it's a pretty tight game.
Yeah, just the 4 goals in it at half-time as they swap ends, of course. And Megan Dean with the first shot of the third quarter pulls it back to 3. At one stage it was 8, might have even got out to 9. And so the Force bringing themselves back, lifting themselves off the canvas here. And with me now is Yvonne Wittering, the coach of the Force side. Well, Yvonne, give me your take on your team's performance so far in this match.
Yeah, a bit reluctant. I mean, we're not going for the ball as much as we should be. I think we're playing a bit of hesitant netball. And I don't care what anyone says. Sting has certainly come out a lot more physical today. And, you know, physical seems to be the word at the moment against our team. But this is finals netball, and you can see it out on court.
Yes, it's a different game, Yvonne, than last week. Last week was a lot more open. This is a lot more physical.
Yeah, I agree with you. You know, it's, yeah, and that's where I guess the umpires come into it, which is a bit of a shame. I mean, obviously, at the end of the day, we would have loved a free-flowing game. But see, like they're just the offside and stuff like that. And it's very disruptive to the game. So neither team has really got what I call a real flow to the game.
Very good, Yvonne. I thank you for your time. Yvonne Wittering, the coach of the Force, her side, trailing by 3 goals, 29-26. Yes, it's a kind of a stop-start kind of game. Doesn't have the flow. Another little error there, although Megan Dean pointing out to the umpire that it actually came off her leg and that she didn't replay the ball. But it's not the way Von Meek saw it. And so a turnover goes down in the books for the Sting.
The Sting having to play the ball across court a little here, taking their time, changing the pattern rather than sending it down court straight away.
So 3 minutes into the third quarter as we're joined for a brief chat with Robin Broughton, the coach of the Sting side. Robin, you'd be very happy with that scoreline at half-time. Very different match from the one last week, eh?
Oh, yes it is. It's exciting though, and we had a good lead and we let it go. So, you know, like you can never know with these sort of games. Like everybody, there's such a lot of skill out there that you just can't afford to just step back at any stage.
Yes. That's the thing, Robin. You were 8 up at one stage and you let them back into the game. Where did you let them in?
Just a couple of silly passes at the wrong time, just indecision. Yeah, you've got to think quickly out there, and you know, you just never know when it's going to happen.
Okay, Robin, we'll let you get back to this enthralling, fascinating final, as this time the pass from Temapara George goes astray, sails into the bleachers just when the Force were starting to mount a real challenge here. They've scored the first 2 goals of the third quarter, probably were thinking it could have been 3 in a row, got it back to 1 goal. As it is now, the Sting, that little 2-goal advantage, can make it 3. Now Whippiiti down to 79% of the match, successful with the first shot in the third quarter.
Lovely shot from distance. Just look at those turnovers, the bad passes from the Force, and you know that's just the pressure that's being put on in this game. Both teams with bad passes, which are in some ways a bit of an unforced error. Contact centre, penalty pass.
I like the way that Liana Barrett-Chase is playing at the moment, and at centre she's sometimes going wide, and sometimes coming from the top.
Down goes De Bruin, and up goes the arm from Mandy Nottingham, the call against Whippiiti.
Well, she did. She gave a good push off Whippiiti. Maybe a little bit of frustration here as well from Whippiiti. There it goes. just retaliating to that lean. It's tight out there. Players are desperate to get the ball.
Well, it's as if neither side wants to lose the physical battle here, is it? That they're trying to impose themselves physically on their opponents.
But you don't want to lose the skill from the game, and that's what's happening. We're just losing that skill factor.
In the 2007 Grand Final of the National Bank Cup. Come on, get behind our Fujifilm board. A reminder during the third quarter break, we'll have the quickness error throughout. We'll tell you how that works soon.
Play about to resume 4 minutes into the third quarter here, coming to you live from the North Shore Event Centre. The first time we've had a National Bank Cup final in the Queen City. It's taken best part of 10 years, 9 years and 10 seasons for a final to get here. It will be the last one, of course, as Barrett chase again, using their great speed, but the whistle had gone. We will come back, says Bronwyn Meek.
But it is to the Sting's advantage. So Barrett Chase did well, and George tries to reply.
This is a great little battle. It's in the mid-court there. You've got, you know, a possible future Silver Fern centre there up against the best in the world.
Yes, she's certainly giving Temapara George a good run around Barrett Chase. She does a lot of work out on court, a lot of movement.
She's tough and she's nuggety, isn't she?
She is. She runs and runs and runs, and that's keeping Temapara George very busy.
Now, Latu not wanting to put that shot up there as she tried to feed the ball out of the circle to get a little closer to the goal. In the end, Dean gets the penalty. Latu goes for the rebound, and with a little pat from Angelina Yates, she regains possession.
And the fourth, pulling it back. And Darby just about came away with the intercept, but only get one hand to it, though, as it spilled out the baseline.
This for a 4-goal advantage here for the Sting. Whoopie, goal number 17 tonight.
She likes to take that penalty on the baseline, so she actually goes out of court with her footwork to, doesn't put her foot outside the court, but
just
actually leans out so that she's away from the defender's arms. Very good tactic. Yates has to opt to feed back to the line. No options on, no one coming forward for the ball for her. So good defence from the Sting. Nice space for Latu.
Now, Catherine Latu, who will play for Samoa at the World Championships later this year. And look at those stats of her. She hasn't missed a shot tonight. 15-16 now from 16, 100%. But will be in the Samoan colours at the World Champs here in the city in November. The other end, Whoopie.
So that's a very good percentage for the fourth, 91%.
Yeah.
You know, we heard Irene van Dijk say, and Lavina Good reiterated it earlier in the match, that if the fourth have a high shooting percentage, over 85%, they'll win this game. It'll be interesting to see whether that happens.
Nice little pass on from Angelina Yates, who's having a strong game tonight.
Yes, they've only missed the 3 shots all night, the Force, out of 33 attempts. But they trail by 3.
Ferguson with the penalty on the transverse line. Wilkins to the ball, 2 defence back on Withiiti. Wilkins needs to get inside, help her out, draw one of the defenders off, but it's De Bruyn that's called out. So lets the Sting attack off the hook. Wilkins falls so gracefully, doesn't she? She always falls on her bottom and does a wee slide along the floor.
And the look on the face says it all as she jogs back to the centre of the court. Can't believe that The umpire didn't see it, but it was off the ball. You can't have eyes in your back of your head, I guess. You can't see everything.
Contact, wing defence, penalty pass.
Ferguson did well then. She came around the player as the pass was about to come. They have had the tendency to stay behind their attackers.
Now, while Whoopi was putting a shot up, this happened.
There's your replay. And the nice little slide along the floor. Just give it a polish.
As shoulder charges go from Billy, that was probably about 3 out of 10. Still hanging on to this narrow lead. They've had the lead now for the best part of the last 30 minutes of the match. The Force jumped out to an early lead, but the scores were tied at 11 all, and from that point on, the Sting have always been in front.
And the Sting working hard to try and keep the feeders from the Force off the edge of the circle.
Just don't fully understand here, Julie, why Latu, who's such a good shooter, why she hesitates on some of those shots. Why she doesn't put more of those shots up from mid-circle.
Well, if you look at her little shooting circle, well, I can see the her little diagram of where she's shooting from, Brendan, and she does like to shoot from right in under the goal.
Beautiful work there from George. She saw the tip and she swooped on it. That's what they need, the home side. Try and get themselves back on level terms going into that last quarter. Only 20 minutes of the National Bank Cup left. Way down court goes the back pass from Latu.
Yates from distance.
Over
and
the top.
She gets her hand to it, Hutton. And just have a look how hungry Temepara George is. Look at this loose ball. It's nobody else's but hers. And balances beautifully.
Wilkins couldn't control it at the other end, and so it's turnover to turnover at the moment. Goals hard to come by. Davu with the old-fashioned rugby pass to Cheryl Scanlon, trying to bypass Edine Wilson.
Where Scanlon does a lot of work, bringing the ball through court for the Force, allows them to get back. Nice baseline run from Dean.
Julie, I've got to come in here. Megan Dean's doing a power of work down there, and she's putting up those shots. And they're very high shots if you have a look to get over Megan Hutton's lead.
Yes, because she doesn't really like that lean of Hutton's, but Hutton does let them off the hook at times by being a little too close or contacting in the action.
It's been a very even split between Dean and Latu. Dean with the 16 goals and Latu with 17.
And a little push-off from Latu is the call from the umpire.
So again, the Force up in this quarter. They won the second quarter by 1 goal. They're up by 2 here, but they still trail in the match. Just can't quite break this hold that the Sting have had on the match for the last 30 minutes or so.
The Sting's defence has really picked up in this area. Beg your pardon, the Force's defence in this area. They're making it really hard for the Sting to get the ball into the circle.
Just 6 goals from the Sting in this quarter. 12 minutes of netball make that 7.
De Brain and Davu fill a lot of space when they drop back into that circle. And
this will be a centre pass that the Force would like to break as well. Chance here for the Sting to grab a 4-goal lead. It's what they had at half-time.
Barrett Chase not repositioning on the edge of the circle and making herself available when it was required from Wilson then.
Lophagen, meat and drink for her. She's called for timeout as well. I think she got a finger or hand in that left eye of hers. She's indicated she wants timeout. Sure, it was accidental. Let's have a look at it again. As I think it was Liana De Brain that, with a hand, which unintentionally struck Wilkins in the face.
And the physio, Neil Hamilton, for the Sting. Also his 100th game, I guess, as well. He's been with the Sting team since inception.
33 to 37 for the Southern Sting.
So it looks like there's a change while that injury break was taking place. Lorna Flora has come on for Wilhelmina Davu. So former Silver Fern replaces a former Silver Fern. The back for the home side.
Well, we did say earlier on as well, it would be interesting to see whether Davu would play the entire game, especially if it was physical and fast.
Well, it's been physical, but she hasn't been anywhere near as prominent, or was as prominent she was in that previous encounter a couple of weeks ago in Invercargill. And that's it for Wilhelmina Davu. Don't imagine we'll see her again in the National Bank Cup.
They may rest her and bring her back on in the last quarter. It will just depend on how Safoa goes.
Well, she's only got 90 seconds out there, Safoa. But she's got a very heavily strapped right knee, Safoa, which does look as if it's affecting her mobility a little. There she is, sandwiched in there between the two shooters. This is looking good here for the Sting. Boy, going into the last quarter of the final with a 5-goal lead. Could be more than that. They have the centre pass.
This will both Whippi for the Sting and Dean for the Force, lifting their shooting percentages. They were sitting in the 70s coming into this match. They're both in the 80s in this final.
Lovehagen or Wilkins screaming for that ball from Liana Barrett-Chase. Maybe she couldn't have heard her in the noise in the stadium here, but she was on the baseline, unmarked.
I think Liana Barrett-Chase was aware that earlier in this quarter she threw one of those balls into the circle. It got gobbled up, so she was a bit more hesitant this time around.
Latu.
Just letting Latu off the hook again. Hutton didn't have the distance.
Still with the perfect game. Catherine Latu, 18 from 18, but a side trailing by 4. They've got a couple of seconds left to make it 3. Dean's got to put the shot up. Time is just about up. So 2 quick goals have certainly sweetened it for the Force. They win another quarter. They've won 2 of the 3 quarters, but they trail by 3. A low-scoring quarter, just for 19 goals, 38-35 with 15 minutes remaining.